Welcome to the Mental Game Gym podcast, where we dive into the mental side of sports to help athletes unlock their full potential. I'm Andrew Crome, a mental performance coach, and today we're talking about something that separates the great athletes from the good one. We're not talking about skill or talent, but we're talking about something called values. And why does this matter? Values are what drive you when motivation fades, when you don't want to get up in the morning, when it's cold outside and you have to go train, or when adversity hits, or when the pressure is high. If you don't know your core values as an athlete, then you might find yourself chasing results without a clear purpose. Now, we'll break down what values are and how they differ from goals, because they can often get confused with each other. And most importantly, I'm going to tell you how you can figure out your own values and how to apply them to your sport. So let's look at that difference between values and goals. Goals are about achieving a specific result. So a certain score, a certain number of goals, a certain team that you want to get onto, a certain trophy that you want to win, or playing at a certain level. Values are about how you show up, no matter the outcome. Values, you can't achieve your values. Values are something that you set and you live by them every day, every moment, and you keep going. So for example, hard work, or resilience, or teamwork, or integrity. Those are some things that you can't accomplish. There's no end point. But I view them as they help you get to those end points of reaching your goals if you live by those values that you set. Right? Your goals are destinations, but your values are the compass that guides you. Right? We can achieve those goals, we can check them off, but the values are something you live by every day. So here's an example. Let's say your goal is to win a state championship. That's great to have that goal. But what happens if you don't? What happens if you don't achieve that? Because that's a big dream. It's not something that you can control. If you don't achieve it, does that mean that you've failed? If you are committed to your values, such as discipline, effort, resilience, you can still walk away proud knowing that you gave everything you had. So you lived by your values, but you didn't achieve the goal. So did you fail or did you not? I want you to think about that for a second. So goals are important, right? Because they give us that destination of this is where I want to get to. This is the destination. The values, I see them as the directions, right? This is, okay, I want to get to this goal. The values are the things that are going to help me stay on the right path, stay on the right road to get to where I want to be. It's going to give you a good chance or a better chance of achieving those goals than if you don't have and live by values. Okay, they keep you grounded and they help you perform with purpose. In practice and in competition, you always have those moments where you can choose, do I live by my values or do I not? Right? We always come up against those moments, those situations that happen. And if we can choose to live by those values, then we're going to have a better chance of achieving the goals that we've set. Why do values matter in sports? I'm going to give you 3 key things here. They create consistency, they build resilience, and they reduce pressure. So let's take them in turn and we'll kind of unpack them a little bit. So the first one here is values create consistency. Results, performances are always going to be up and down, but having your values and living by them and acting on them will keep you anchored and keep you consistent. I always see athletes who live and die by their performances and the results, the outcomes of competition, performances. So when they do things well, when something good happens and they achieve a goal, well, they feel great. But then if they're not going well and something has happened that makes them perform under their level, then they don't feel great. So they're kind of riding that roller coaster. And emotionally and mentally, it's tiring, it's exhausting. So if we can have and live by these values, then we can create that consistency. Am I acting within my values right now? Right? So for example, an athlete who values discipline still puts in the work, even when they're not seeing immediate improvement, immediate results, because they value being disciplined. The values that we have are going to help create consistency, because if we live by them, the example, my value is discipline. So therefore, I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to put in the work every day, no matter the outcome, no matter what's going to happen around me or with my performance. So we have that consistency. The second thing here was values build resilience, right? Because your identity, and a lot of people tie their identity purely to outcomes. Every loss or every bad performance feels like a personal failure. But let's say one of your values is growth, then you can see setbacks as a learning opportunity. So we're changing that perspective here of I value growth, therefore setbacks and failures are learning opportunities. I can grow from this, right? There's always something to learn from those setbacks. There's always something, well, what can I change? What can I do better? So having that value or a value such as growth can help build that resilience, right? And changing that perspective of if I lose or if I don't play well, then I'm a bad person, right? Then I'm a failure. I don't belong here. I'm not good enough, right? So if we change that perspective and have that, okay, well, setbacks, I view them as learning opportunities, right? There's the saying, either you win or you learn. So we learn from those setbacks and we carry on. So the first two, why does it matter to have values? Well, they create consistency and they build resilience. And then the third example here is reducing pressure. So values can reduce pressure. So when our focus is on values rather than just results and outcomes, then you play with more freedom, right? If you say, well, I have to win, then that piles that pressure on, right? Or if somebody else is saying, you got to win this, you got to do this, you feel that pressure, right? So instead of thinking, I have to win this match, if you have a value such as courage, then you might say, well, I'm going to play fiercely and attack every point. No matter what is happening, no matter if I'm winning or losing, I'm going to keep playing fearlessly. I'm going to keep playing and attack every point, every situation, every moment, every play. I'm going to try my best. I'm not focused on winning and losing and having to win and having to perform my best. I'm focused on, in the moment, how can I act, right? I'm acting with courage. Despite what's happening, if I'm having a poor performance or if my team is losing, I'm still going to go out there and give it my all and focus on every single play, every single point, and give my 100% best. So we're taking that view away from having to win and that pressure away from feeling like you have to win and you have to do your best every single time and putting that pressure on and feeling that pressure. Because when we feel that pressure, the chances are we're not going to perform to our best. So changing that perspective and focusing more on living by your values and what does that mean? Okay, so the reasons here of why they matter. Well, they create consistency, they build resilience, and they reduce pressure. So now that we know why they matter, let's figure out what yours are. So how do we go about figuring out what your values are? So I'm going to take you through a quick exercise here that's going to kind of help you identify your values. So the first thing I want you to do is think of a time in sports when you felt really proud of yourself. Not because of a win, not because you won something, but because of how you showed up. What qualities did you demonstrate? So for example, was it hard work, leadership, courage, perseverance? So have a think about that. What qualities did you demonstrate? What came up for you when you're thinking about this particular performance? Okay, and the second thing, okay, if sports were taken away tomorrow, what would you want to be remembered for? What would people write about you and talk about you? Right? How do you want your teammates, your coaches, or your opponents? How do you want them to describe you? What words would they use to describe you? And through those two questions, can you choose between 3 and 5 values that define you, that matter to you most? So, for example, you might value effort, integrity, growth, teamwork, discipline, courage. And there's no right or wrong answer here. And these are going to be unique to you. So let's look at an example here of Kobe Bryant and his Mamba mentality. And that wasn't just about winning, it was about excellence, work ethic, and fearlessness. That's what drove him every day, whether he was winning championships or recovering from injuries. That was his focus. How can I attack this day with excellence, work ethic, and fearlessness? What does that look like? So hopefully now you've got some idea of what your values might be. The next step is, well, how do you live by them? Especially when we're under pressure, in pressure situations. How do we stick to living by our values rather than getting pulled away and acting in a way that isn't going to be helpful, that's going to pull us away from where we want to go, right? It's going to take us off that path towards our goals. So one thing you can do is you can set a values-based intention before every practice or every game. So you're kind of making a plan. So instead of saying, I want to score 20 points today, say something like, I commit to playing with courage and taking smart risks. Or instead of saying, I need to impress the coach today or my parents today, say, I commit to being a great teammate today. And that's your focus throughout that practice, throughout that game, throughout that performance, right? Committing to be a great teammate. What does that look like, right? Encouraging other people. If somebody's struggling, help them out. Back up your teammates, give them encouragement, coach them if they need help. So that's the first thing, right? Set an intention before every practice, before every game. These are the things, this is what I'm going to do today. We're not focused on outcomes and results or goals. We're focused on living by your values. So take one or two of those values, right? The examples I gave you were commit to playing with courage and taking smart risks, and commit to being a great teammate. That's going to be my focus today. In every single moment, I'm going to act in accordance to these values. The second thing is use your values to handle setbacks, because they're going to happen. We're always going to have moments where we struggle, right? So when we lose or struggle, I want you to ask yourself, did I stay true to my values today? What can I learn from this experience? So this reflection is really good because it helps us understand, was I really in line with my values today? Was I really acting in line with them? So an example, Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, values authenticity and mental well-being. So when she stepped away from competition because of her mental health, she was living by her values, even though it meant sacrificing short-term success. She wasn't playing, she wasn't being able to win any matches, for example, but her values were mental well-being and authenticity. So she acted in line with those values. So those questions are important, right? Like after a loss or after a poor performance, you can really get real with yourself and ask yourself, did I stay true to my values today? And then you start to unpack things and figure out, oh, maybe I wasn't in line with courage, for example, and I wasn't acting courageously in certain situations. So then next time, what does that look like? How do I want to show up? And then we start planning and start playing it in our mind. What does that look like? Can I see that? And the more you do that, the more that's going to help with those future performances. And the third step is to revisit your values regularly, because they might evolve, they might change over time, because you evolve throughout time. Things change, things happen, different teams, different coaches, different situations that you're in, your values might change. So check in and make sure, do these still speak to me? Are these still my values? And then also making sure that your actions are aligning with what you say that you value. So the 3 steps here again: set a values-based intention before every practice and game, use your values to handle setbacks, and revisit your values regularly. Let's review what we've discussed. So values are not the same as goals. Values are there to guide you no matter the outcome. The focus is not on results and outcomes. The focus is on living by the values. And these values should be helping you get closer to those goals that you want to achieve. Values keep you consistent, resilient, and focused on what truly matters. To find your values, reflect on moments of pride, what you want to be remembered for, and what qualities define you as an athlete. Also think about athletes and people that you look up to. What qualities do they have? What kind of things define them as an athlete? Maybe that's something that works with you as well. So the final thing, and here's an action step. I want you to take 5 minutes today to identify 3 to 5 core values and write them down. Before your next practice or game, set a values-based intention to live by them. Okay, so again, take 5 minutes to identify 3 to 5 core values and write them down. And before your next practice or performance, set a values-based intention to live by them. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a teammate or a coach. And if you want more tools for the mental side of sports, subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening. Now go out and play with purpose.